Quick heads up, most of this video was finished before the first wave dropped, and because of that, a few pieces of information like the DLC Cup's names are outdated. That said, the actual predictions are still intact. So, without further ado, you never truly know what Nintendo will do next. We went so long without any updates to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe that rumors were circulating about a new game happening, but instead here we are getting a mountain of DLC, offering a whopping 48 racetracks updated and remastered from every other game in the series. The Booster Course Pass will keep Mario Kart fans everywhere at least somewhat satiated for the next year and a half. News of the reveal, and details on what all is in the first wave, has raised a big question. What'll the rest of this thing be like? Competition's gonna be fierce with such a long list of fan-favorite courses across Mario Kart's storied history and a limited number of slots remaining. Wait, this feels familiar. But what if I told you we're not completely in the dark here? What if we could use the content already confirmed for the first wave of DLC to help us make an educated guess on what might show up in the remaining 5? Figuring out all the remaining tracks is a tall and probably futile order, but who says we can't have some fun trying to do it anyway? First things first, we need a reference point. Let's start by laying out some guidelines to follow for these predictions. I know, this won't take long and we kinda need to lay the ground rules. The structure of the first round of DLC gives us a glimpse of how the remaining 5 rounds might be laid out. The 8 tracks of the Golden Dash Cup and Lucky Cat Cup are as you see on screen. The remaining waves will probably be set up similarly, and because of that, we can extrapolate a few things. First, as you might have noticed, both cups begin with a course from Mario Kart Tour based on a real-world city. We can reasonably expect the rest of DLC to follow suit. They need not be in the same order they were added to Tour, Paris Promenade's going first here despite being the 3rd city course, but tracks with more variants present in Tour are more likely to show up first since they have more source material to work with. Beyond the city tracks, the first wave has no more than 1 returning course per Mario Kart title, including Tour with its non-city Ninja Hideaway. This allows the DLC to cover as many games as possible, and we can probably expect that the rest of the way. There isn't enough space to cover every game in each set of 2 cups, so we have to figure out which to leave out. My personal guess is each wave will see only 1 course from either Super Mario Kart or Super Circuit on the GBA, since theirs are the most simplistic. But it's not just about game representation, because aesthetic variety also matters. Not only should we expect there to be many different themes and archetypes in each 2-cup set, we should also assume the devs want to avoid having too many tracks with similar themes in a given wave, with rare exceptions. And there's another thing we need to consider: fan appeal. Each wave of DLC needs to bring back at least a couple fan-favorite courses to catch people's attention, like how Wave 1 has Coconut Mall, Choco Mountain, and Sky Garden. We should assume the real heavy hitters are spread out across all the DLC to make each update appealing. Finally, this guideline's more for practical purposes. Since this DLC seems to be branching off from Mario Kart Tour, we should assume that any courses already remade in Tour will be higher priority and/or more likely to go first. On screen right now is the full list of every racetrack remastered for Tour so far. It's quite the list. Data miners have also found evidence of a handful more that might be added to Tour later on. Fair warning, I'm about to put them on screen temporarily, so if you don't want to be spoiled, close your eyes for a few seconds. Alright, the data mine courses are these, potentially. My predictions will take them into account, so keep them in mind because I won't specifically mention which were data mined after this. Alright, spoiler-free folks, the coast is clear again. With these guidelines in mind, let's figure out what the remaining 5 waves and 40 tracks might be. Ready? In 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, let's hit the ground running. Driving. Wave 2 consists of the Turnip Cup and Propeller Cup, so what could go here to keep the first wave's momentum? It'll probably start with a city track from Tour like the first 2 cups, and this time it's jolly old England getting the honors. London Loop's lightning tour of famous landmarks is a strong start, and if the trailer footage of the Paris and Tokyo tracks are any precedent, Mario Kart 8's version will combine parts of every variant in Tour for a comprehensive circuit. Next, we go all the way back to Mario Kart's very beginning. Call it a hunch, but something tells me the DLC team won't be able to resist sneaking Mario Circuit 1 in somewhere for nostalgia's sake, even if it's pretty bland by series standards nowadays. Gotta revisit your roots sometimes. But enough of that, because I think they shoot for the moon right away and bring back a fan favorite Waluigi pinball ASAP. And unlike in Mario Kart 7, this time Waluigi can actually race through his own course again. I imagine it'll come with the visual updates it got in Tour, with the fancy animated signs and stuff. We wrap up the Turnip Cup with a black sheep of sorts from 7. Rock Mountain puts a heavy emphasis on verticality in ways rarely done before or since. Bet that long glider section in the middle would look even better with a fresh coat of HD paint, don't you think? The Propeller Cup brings us back stateside with one of Tour's more renowned city courses. Which of the Big Apple's biggest attractions will make the cut in the combined version of New York Minute? Not sure, but I'm already looking forward to the nighttime aesthetic and jazzy background music. One of Double Dash's several famous tracks, Dino Dino Jungle is a safe pick to show up here, partly because it's been in Tour from the get-go. Will colliding with the dinosaurs make you spin out like in Double Dash in 7, or will they pop you into the air for a stunt opportunity like in Tour? Decisions. Next, more famous stuff. Calamari Desert from Mario Kart 64 comes back for another go-around, just like that train keeps going around, stuck forever in a loop it can't escape. Anyway, the desert aesthetic and relatively simple layout are a good palate cleanser this far into the cup. Finally, the Propeller Cup ends in style with a track the community's been wanting to see return for a while. See the sights of Toad's factory as you blaze through the production lines and the construction site at the end, and you might just get a glimpse of how they make Mario Kart's famous item boxes. Seriously, that's what they produce here. Overall, this set of 8 would give us a second wave that keeps the wheels turning. Contains a couple big fan favorites in Waluigi Pinball and Toad's Factory, and while the latter is the only one of these not currently in Tour, like Shroom Ridge in the first wave, it's been requested long enough to make the extra dev time worth it. Speaking of which, subscribing might also be worth it. I know y'all are out there watching unsubscribed because the analytics don't lie. Going through with it and clicking the bell will make sure you know when the next videos are ready, because do you really want to count on the algorithms telling you? Our next batch needs some context. I'm going to make a safe guess that Wave 3, the Rock, Shroom, and Power Moon Cups, will be ready near the end of this year, around November probably. I kept that holiday 2022 window in mind when thinking of what might go here. We begin with one of Tour's most atmospheric city courses. Vancouver Velocity would help usher in the cold months, in the northern hemisphere at least, with a race through and around Canada's coastal city. Take in the sights and maybe even catch a hockey game while you're in the area. Next, this wave might show up late for Halloween, but it's close enough for a fittingly spooky track to make an appearance. Mario Kart DS's take on Luigi's Mansion can certainly justify a spot in the pass, and I think this is where it's most likely to show up, even if you spend hardly any time in the mansion itself. Hey, heavy traffic can be pretty spooky when you're late for work. Mushroom Bridge hasn't been seen since Mario Kart DS, so a new coat of HD paint would really help bring it into the modern era. Wonder if they'd bring back all of the shortcuts from Double Dash, like the dash panels on the bridge's railings. And we finish the Rock Shroom Cup with a personal favorite. Mario Kart 7's version of Rainbow Road is oft considered one of the best in the series, and since it's already been present in Tour for a long time, I'd be shocked if it doesn't get into the past before all is said and done. I believe this is as good a spot for it as any. The Power Moon Cup starts with a very much not wintry course. Oh well. Be sure to soak in the sights of LA as you breeze by its famous locales. This one's got a lot of variety compared to most city tracks, so I'm interested to see what makes the cut. Just don't get stuck in traffic. You'll never get out of that. I figure we'll probably see one of the Super Circuit Bowser's Castle tracks. After some deliberation, I decided 2 is probably most likely because its original remake was a long time ago, and Bowser's Castle 4 might be too complicated for its own good. Be sure to mind the thwomps and the gaps in the road leading to fiery death. Now we have another fan favorite with another chance to return again. What better way to celebrate the fall than with the most autumnal track in the series to date? Maple Treeway's another personal favorite, so I'm really hoping it comes back. And considering it's already in Tour, I like its chances. And finally, Mario Kart Tour gets to cut in line one more time because its other non-city course just so happens to be the perfect choice for the holidays. If you aren't feeling festive by the end of a race through Merry Mountain, your heart may just be 2 sizes too small. Or maybe you just finished dead last. I admit, this selection might lean harder into autumn and holiday themes more than the actual thing will, but it did help me narrow down what to include where. The right amount of variety also keeps both cups interesting, and a couple big fan favorites are here to convince more fans to buy in. Wave 4 will be the first set for 2023. The further we get, the harder it'll be to pinpoint anything. You've been warned. The Berry Cup begins with a stop in Berlin. Be sure to enjoy the sights and sounds of this historic city, though figuring out how they'll handle this one's a bit tricky since there's only one version of it in tour so far. My guess is there'll probably be others by next year. Probably. We stop off next at another circuit track. Toad Circuit's already confirmed for the pass, and this time it's Mario Raceway from 64 getting another lease on life. Mario Kart Wii didn't change it much beyond prettying up the textures, so it's hard to say if it'd get any new tweaks like a glider shortcut or something. Next, we depart from land and take a leisurely tour on a Daisy Cruiser. Well, except for the maniacs racing around the decks, pool, cabin, and dining hall. This fan favorite from Double Dash is such a perfect fit for the pass that I'll be shocked if it doesn't make a comeback before all is said and done. Finally, the cruiser makes port at a cozy desert town with a bustling marketplace. Shy Guy Bazaar and its unique subcon-like vibes are another shoe-in to show up at some point, and I think it fits in fine as the finishing point to the Berry Cup. How much for one of those magic carpets? I know what you're thinking. Would they really line up the Australian track to be on the boomerang-themed cup? Hey, it's not that much of a reach considering when it was added to tour. This multi-route tour through the city down under is a nice way to start the cup. Even cuts through the Sydney Opera House at one point. Next, we tap into Super Circuit for the first time in a while, bringing in one of its tropical tracks. Cheap islands, sandy beaches, boardwalks, and breathtaking sunsets should make for some interesting races. And since it was remade in tour recently, carrying it over into the pass wouldn't be difficult. Talk about opposites. We're jumping from a tropical island retreat to the fortified ramparts of one of Bowser's fortresses. Fan favorite Airship Fortress also got redone in tour, so all the assets are there for the DLC team to bring in one of Mario Kart's most unusually structured racetracks. Finally, who says the mundane can't be thrilling? The most intense traffic course in the series so far, Moonview Highway's winding cliffside turns and crowded city streets are a perfect way to cap off the Boomerang Cup. By the way, do you know its theme might or might not be a heavy remix of the boss theme from Kirby's Adventure? Seriously! These 8 tracks should help kick off 2023 in style. Or well, they might not drop until a couple months into next year, but you get the idea. Whether you want to take a trip to lands unknown, brave enemy territory, or drive around downtown like a madman, this wave's for you. If, this is actually correct. Strap in one and all because the Feather and Double Cherry Cups are set to excite in summer next year. Unless the schedule changes, but hey, I'm here to predict the content, not the release dates. We start the Feather Cup with the last of the city tracks currently present in tour. I've heard mixed opinions about the first version of Singapore Speedway, little too simple layout-wise and hard to get high scores on, but by the time this wave goes live, there'll probably be a couple additional variants to pull from. From Mario Kart 64 comes a blast from the past. While I'm not the biggest fan of it, I know a lot of y'all do like DK's Jungle Parkway, and I think that's enough to justify bringing it back again. That long jump across the river is begging to be made into a glider segment, maybe with a DK barrel cannon and everything. Sometimes you just want to get out of the summer heat, but detouring to a snow-covered planet is overdoing it. Rosalina's Ice World was recently remade for tour, so the assets are all there and waiting to be upscaled. The branching paths in multiple sections give this course some unique strategies. And now, a fan favorite from Super Circuit graces consoles for the first time. Mario doesn't tap into Wild West aesthetics very often, and that makes Sunset Wilds stand out even more. Maybe they can pull what the original did and have the sun actually set as the race goes on. Here's where things get complicated. We've now covered every city course currently present in Mario Kart Tour, but considering this wave's over a year away, we need not limit ourselves to that. I think the Double Cherry Cup will start with a track based on a city that hasn't been added to tour yet, but will be between now and then. Data miners did find evidence of a couple more already in the works, so it's pretty plausible. Meanwhile, who says we have to limit ourselves to IRL tourist destinations? Delfino Square brings a race through the streets and canals of the Isles port town, complete with locals cheering from the sidelines. Always thought the fall-like color scheme was a weird choice. Maybe that'd change here. Next is a track finally getting revisited for the first time. Dry Ruins' claim to fame is its, ruins, and how the layout within changes as the race goes on and sand piles up inside. That section at the end where you launch out of the ruins has glider segment written all over it. Finishing the fifth wave is another fan favorite that has gone far too long without a revival. Double Dash's take on Bowser's Castle boasts a devious layout of twists, turns, and traps to negotiate on your way to the checkered flag. The appropriately sinister atmosphere and music is icing on the evil cake. This penultimate pack is all about extremes. From bustling cities to tropical jungles to scorching deserts and frozen planets, expect your driving skills to be tested to their absolute limits. Or maybe you know all of them by heart already. Wouldn't surprise me. Alright, it all comes down to this. One final wave to finish the pass, comprised of the Acorn Cup and the Blue Shell Cup. Yes, I know it's officially called a Spiny Shell, but that doesn't sound as cool. How might the DLC team end this thing in style? As previously mentioned, I think we'll see a few city tracks from Tour that aren't a thing yet, but will be by the time we reach the later waves. The Acorn Cup will start with one of them. 40 courses in and there's still some popular tracks to tap into. Do your best border impression on DK Summit, or Snowboard Cross for those of you in Europe, and cruise your way to victory through the slopes, curves, and half pipes. Who knew the Big Ape was such a big fan of getting big air? Now how about something more laid back? Peach's Royal Gardens would look more breathtaking than ever in HD, so what better way to relax between the craziness elsewhere in the cup? Just pay no attention to the roaming chain chomps, or the other drivers ruining the peace and quiet. Finishing this probably autumnal cup is another classic Halloween haunt. Banshee Boardwalk hasn't been seen since Mario Kart DS, and an update that captures the eeriness to the abandoned pier would make for a frightful finale. Hope you're not scared of ghosts, the ocean, open spaces, or giant fish. Opening the final DLC cup is another city track that won't exist for a while longer yet. Hey, I'm sure that by the time they finish designing it, it'll look awesome. Following that, we go all the way back to Super Mario Kart's penultimate course. It's a bit simple by modern standards, but the SNES pulled off a few interesting layouts. This one takes racers around the frozen perimeter of the eponymous Vanilla Lake. All the ice and snow is one way to ring in the winter months. Out of the deep freeze and into the fire, our second last edition is Mario Kart 7's take on Bowser's Castle. Its multi-layered structure encourages taking different paths each lap, or taking the ones no one else is. There's even an underwater section, something you'd never expect with all the lava around, but it makes this version of the Koopa King's home turf stand out. And finally, I couldn't not include it. Double Dash's Rainbow Road has been in high demand for a return for a very long time. While I personally have mixed opinions on some parts that didn't play nice with its game's controls and physics, a revival now with Mario Kart 8's much more polished handling would let this celestial circuit's neon sights, vertical drops, and high-octane boost sections truly shine. If all goes to plan, this final wave would end the pass in style with an eclectic selection of tracks sure to please pretty much everyone. No matter your personal taste, at least a few are certain to catch your eye, and probably your wallet. And there we are, my personal predictions for how the remaining 10 cups and 40 tracks for the Booster Course Pass might turn out. The odds of me being completely on the money are slim to none, but who knows, right? And there were a lot of honorable mentions I couldn't find room for. Just look at them all. Any of these could sneak in and I wouldn't be surprised. Either way, looks like we have a lot more Mario Kart to look forward to, even if we have to wait a while for the next new entry. And even if these remade tracks don't look as good as the ones in the base game, clearly not the same team behind these. But hey, there's so much content planned for such a decent price that I don't mind the equivalent of junk food DLC for the time being. Hey, if you got a kick out of this, check out my other content while you're here. I do other analysis type stuff for different games, and I even have a series where I make Smash concepts for characters who haven't gotten into Smash yet. Worth a look, right? Special thanks to these people here for helping make this video happen. Thanks as well to my patrons for their continued support, especially you newcomers. Glad to have you on board. So, until next time, may your carts be swift, your racing lines unobstructed, and your item boxes filled with anything other than coins.